So now we have Guido with Scapy in 30 minutes. One big round of applause, please.
Okay, so hello everyone. So today we'll present you Scapy. If you need, we have stickers over there, black and yellow. So little bit more. Scapy, that's a tool that helps you manipulate packets. It's written in Python, and you can use it as a shell, like a prompt, or as a Python module. It was developed by Philippe Biondi since 2003, so Scapy is a kind of old software. And I have been maintaining the tool since 2012 with another French guy named Pierre. Scapy natively supports Linux, Mac OS X, Windows, which means that you just need to clone the GitHub repository in order to use Scapy. On Windows, you just need to install one DLL, which comes with nmap, which is npcap.dll. You can get the tool on GitHub, github.com/secdevscapy. If you like it, please start the project. It's always nice to have a lot of stars. And you can also check the documentation using this link. If you want to follow the talk, you can go to this website. That's my nickname, .github.io, and you can get the slides. And also, if you click here, you get the slide. If you click here on the notebook, you'll get the Python notebook, and you can copy and paste everything I will show you today, like the command and so on. Okay. So, what is the current status of the project? We moved to GitHub almost 2 years ago. First, we used to use Mercurial, and we are hosted on Bitbucket. And the move to GitHub was a big change, and it had a huge impact on the project. So since 2 years, we got like 70 different contributors pushing a lot of new features to the project. We got 500 merge pull requests. That's a lot. Also, we managed to benefit from services from GitHub like CI, which is Travis on Linux and OS X, and Adveya on Windows. It's really important for us because every commit we make, they are checked against a lot of unit tests, which means that the code quality is it's kind of nice, and that Scapy works on all of these architectures really nice. Since 1 year, we try to work a lot on the code coverage part. So I think like last September, only half of the code was covered. So we worked a lot to improve the number. And today, 80% of the code is covered by the test, which means again that Scapy is much stable today than it was last year. So the last stable release, it was 2.3.3. It was released in last October. So since then, we did a lot of things. We applied a lot of patches in order to prepare for Python 3 compatibility. So far, it only works on Python 2. We have better Windows support. Soon, we'll fully support IPv6 on Windows. And as I said before, we added a lot of new unit tests. On the protocol side, we have support for HTTP2, which is a new binary protocol, EAP-TLS, and TACACS, which is a protocol used for authentication between a router and an authentication server. And we have also, and I will talk about that today, new things related to TLS and certificate parsing, which is really, really convenient. So if you want to install and launch Scapy, what you could do, you can like grab a shell, use Git. I will suggest that you use the def1 argument because it's really faster to clone the repository. github.com/secdev, Scapy. Just need to wait a little bit more. Okay. Then, you need to go to the Scapy directory and then launch Scapy. Oops. so you have Scapy. We have a nice logo like in the shell. And this stuff with the 3 arrows, that's the Scapy shell. So, slides. Okay. What I will try to do today, I will try to show you most of Scapy features, starting with how you can manipulate packets and ending with new tricks related to TLS, which is the S part of HTTPS. So again, the slides, you can get them on the website, and you can copy and paste the example in Scapy shell. So first, packet manipulation. In Scapy, everything is an object. So an IP packet is an object, a TCP packet is an object, and you can stack them on top of each other using a slash operator. So here, for example, I will build a packet, and I will put TCP on top of IP. And finally, I will put the packet variable on top of Ethernet, and at the end, I have an Ethernet packet with IP and TCP. So it's really simple. Let's try to do that. I won't copy-paste everything, but just to show you that it works fine in the shell. And then I have a packet. Okay. If you don't know what to do with a layer, you can use LS. For example, LSIP will give you the fields inside the IP packet, like the version, the source address, the destination address, as well as the default value. So for example, here you can read that the default value for IPv4 is 4. You can build a packet using these fields, and Scapy will select the correct source IP address and the correct MAC addresses, and so on. For example, here, what I did, I built an Ethernet frame, I put IP on top, and I say, okay, I want the packet to be sent to secdev.org. And then I also specify the fin flag for the TCP layer. Because everything is an object in Scapy, you can use methods, in this case summary, and summary send you returns a string, which is a nice and short representation of the packet. And for example, here you can see that Scapy managed to select my source IP address at home in order to send the packet later on. All fields can easily be accessed. So in the same packet, I can get a p.dest, which is the first layer with a destination field. In this case, that's Ethernet address, a MAC address here. You can explicitly access a specific layer. So it's p ip.src. It will be the source address of the packet. And also, we implemented some kind of format strings. So it's a bit different from regular ones. For example, this one, %ip.dst%, and it would replace the destination address of the packet. So by just doing one line, I was able to easily display the source MAC address, the destination MAC address, same stuff for the IP layer. A field can store many values. For example, here, the TTL field, we store values from 1 to 5. So this stuff is a bit weird. That's a really Pythonic way of computing a list. So at the end with Scapy, we'll have 5 packets, and each of them will have a different TTL value from 1 to 5. So another thing you can do with a value, you can specify specific values. So in this case, I will change the destination port of the TCP layer by putting SSH, HTTP, HTTPS, and this, again, Pythonic list will build 3 packets to SSH, HTTP, HTTPS ports. Okay. So what we can do next, we build a packet, and we can try to send it to the network. So the first function I will present today is SR1. It sends a packet at layer 3 and returns a reply. And Scapy is able to sniff the network and look for answers and match answers and queries. So this example, what it does, it's building a DNS query, putting it on top of UDP, and finally sending it to 8888, which is a Google public DNS server. And in P, we'll get the reply. And because everything is an object and we can access all the fields, what I can do, I can access the DNS layer, pdns.an, which is answer. And at the end, what do I have? I have the address of example.com. Indeed, Scapy here is doing a lot of magical stuff for you. For example, you didn't specify any name, and Scapy decided to pick up example.com as a default example. Okay, so what we can do, packet, DST, 888 SR1 packet. Okay. No, sorry. Need to specify the port. 53. By default, in this example, SCAPI is using 80 as a default TCP port, and there is no port 80 open on a DNS server, so that's why it's not working. So I sent a SYN TCP segment, and 888 reply with a SYN ACK. So we can easily manipulate packets. Let me check black and white. Yeah. I think it's nicer. Okay. Black and white. Okay. So it was for SR1. SRP, that's another function. You can also use SR. Will send a list of frames, so layer 2, and return 2 variables. The first one in the example is called R, like received. That's a list of queries and match answers. And U, that's a list of unanswered packets. So I will do same example, except that in this case I will put the IP layer on top of Ethernet, send it, and I will get 2 results, 2 variables. In R it will be the results, and U the unanswered packets. And that's a nice display from SCAPI, which says that we received 1 UDP packet. That's nice because we sent 1, and we received 5 ICMP messages. And the R variable, we can play with it. So R0 will be the first packet we sent and the first reply we got. So R00, that's the packet we sent. So if I do R00 summary, I will see that I sent a query to the DNS server asking for the IP address of example.com. And R01 summary, that's the received packet. And in this case, that's an error because I specify a really low TTL. So it's like a trace route with SCAPI. So here I can investigate, for example, if I'm debugging the network, I can check what's actually inside the reply. So I can do R01, that's the first reply we got, and access the ICMP layer. And I see here that we got time exceeded ICMP message that can be useful, for example, for debugging issues in the network. We can also save a list of packets in a pcap file. So for example, I can use a WR pcap function in order to write the packets into the scapi.pcap file. I can also open it by doing rdpcap, and the pcap_p variable will store a list of packets that I can access. So the first one, that's the actual question we sent. The comment method gives you the string that build the same objects. For example, I can use it on the packet I managed to read from the pcap file. So when I inputting comments, I will have the full string that can directly be used. For example, A, oops, using a SCAPI shell to build a packet. So it's really convenient, for example, when you are debugging, reading packets from pcap, trying to inject them again in the network. So comment, that's good to know. The sniff function can sniff packets. It's a bit like TCP dump or Wireshark. So here if you do sniff count2, what you will get, you'll get a list of packets read from your default network interface. If you want to mimic TCP dump, you can specify a function. For example, here that's again relay Pythonic. It means that for every packet you see on the network, you will print its summary. So you can try it. Yep. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. So this one is like IPv6 related, likely, and this one is DNS. Okay. LSC gives you a list of commands inside SCAPI. We have implemented many tools to ease your life. For example, we can use ARP-ping, and ARP-ping will send ARP requests in order to find which hosts are up on the network. So I did that on my local network, and on my local network I have 2 live machines. The first one with this MAC address, and this one with this IP address. Okay, you can use help. Like any regular Python function. So help will give you the help of a function, in this case traceroute, that I will present in the next example. So if you have questions, you can also ask them if you need to. Okay. Scapy allows you to visualize some information and to do some plots. So first what I will do is gathering a lot of information. So I will use the SR loop function. I will ask it to send 100 packets to 8888 and 88844 in order to get a lot of data. So that's what I'm doing here on line 15, sending these packets. And then I will try to plot some specific information in the packet. So again, that's a bit complicated at first. What I want to do is I want to build a plot per source IP address. So this example will be 8888 or 88844. And I want on the x-axis, I want to put the time when I receive the packet. And on the y-axis, I want to plot the IP ID. Why this is useful? From time to time, when you have load balancers, it's possible with these simple tricks to be able to count the number of hosts behind a network load balancer. So in this case, we can see that there is only one server replying for 888 and another one for 88844. Next thing is about getting the binary representation of the packet. Sorry. So what I will build, again, a DNS packet. And then I will use a string function on the packet to get its binary representation, as actually TCP dump is saying on the link. So if I'm going back to packets, I can do string packets. Oh, sorry. And that will be the binary representation of a packet. Because it's a bit difficult to read, Scapy can give you other tools like xdump. You can do xdump packets, and it will give you the same thing with a nicer view. You can dump fields. For example, packet.show will give you a list of fields and values in the packets. You can see, for example, here that some values are known, like here the checksum. It means that Scapy didn't compute this value. If you want it to compute them, you can do show2. And show2 will actually call string and read the packet again. So for example, here, checksum is not known, it was compute. Okay. You can display also a nice representation of a packet. You can call convat dump or ps dump or pdf dump. It's almost the same as show and xdump, but with colors. For example, we can see that the first byte corresponds to the version and the length of the IP packet. So it could be really nice to have that in reports, for example, to show some specific part of a packet. Traceroute also allows you to represent information. So what I will do first, I will call the traceroute function, and I will ask him to do traceroute to secdev.org with a maximum TTL of 15, because that's too much information after that. And we can see here that the destination is replying at up 13. Same as before, we get answered packet and unanswered packet in two variables, and then we can play with them. So if I'm calling world trace on the ANS answer list, I will get that. That's a representation of the traceroute on a world map using data from GeoIP. So it's kind of nice and simple. What next? Because everything is a list, everything is Python list with Scapy, we can do some nice manipulation. So here we'll present make table to build a really simple port scanner. So first, here, I will make a list of targets, so a destination for my port scanner. Then I will ask Scapy to send TCP SYN packets to 4 ports, so SSH, HTTP, HTTPS, and the lead port. Then I will ask it to extend the list and do a scan on DNS server. And finally, I will use the make table function in order to build the table below. again, could be a bit difficult at first, but it's really simple. The first element you put at here, the name of the column. The second one, that will be that TCP22 UDP 53. That's the first element of the line. And finally, what SCAPI should display. It will be a TCP port or an ICMP type, and that's it. So we can see that for some port, like SSH is open on both. The 80 HTTP is only open on the second one, and so on. So it's really simple to do port scan and improve and play with the answers. SCAPI can be used as a Python module, so there is not much to do. What you need to do in your script, you can load SCAPI from scapi.all import star, and then you can do some nice argument parsing. It's not required. And finally, you just need to call SR1 function. In this case, it's IPv6, so I'm building an IPv6 packet. I'm doing an ICMP request, like a ping, and display the summary. So if you have IPv6 activated, you can launch the script this way. Sudo Python ping6 the address, and you get eventually echo reply. It won't work today because we don't have IPv6 on the Wi-Fi. Also, SCAPI helps you to implement a new protocol. So that will be a silly example, quite simple to show you what you need to do. If you want to implement a new protocol, you need to build an object. It will be a class in Python, and you need to inherit from packets. And so that will what we'll do. We'll build a DNS TCP packet, which is DNS over TCP. I choose this example because it's quite simple. We only need to define two fields. The first field is a LAN, and the second one is the DNS packet. And SCAPI gives you a lot of field types that help you to build packets like bytes, shorts, integers, and so on. These ones are a bit more, let's say, complicated. Field and field says that the length must be computed by computing the length of the DNS field. And the DNS field here says that the length of the DNS field is related to len. So we have some kind of link between the two fields. Finally, we have one last trick that is not needed. Guest payload class says that after a DNS TCP packet, we have another DNS TCP packet, and so on. So that way, SCAPI is able to link layers. So it's not really required for this simple example. And we can start building our packet, DNS TCP, and inside we have a DNS packet. We can use string, that will be the binary version of the packet. And finally, we can ask SCAPI to read the binary representation of the packet and send back a Python object. So that will be the same as, for example, this one, IP ICMP. Okay, that's a Python object. I can use string to get the string representation of the packet. And if I want an object back, I can just give IP the string, and it will do all of the job and decode everything for us. SCAPI gives you more tools than only SR1, SRP, and so on. You can use a stream socket object, and the stream socket object is really nice because it allows SCAPI to use regular Python TCP socket. So here I will import socket, then I will create a socket to 8888 on port 53, which is the DNS port, and I will pass the socket SCK to the stream socket class, and finally ask SCAPI to decode every packet as a DNS TCP packet. Finally, I can use SSCK SR1 in order to send the new DNS TCP packet we built and get the reply. So it's really nice to have this kind of feature in order to improve your script if you want, again, to play with the network, implement your own packets, and so on. Answering machines, that's another nice topic. So far, we only use SCAPI to send a query and wait for a reply. But from time to time, you want to do the opposite. You want to wait for a specific packet and send a reply. So we can use the answering machine object to do so. You need to implement two things. The first is request, and this function returns true if the packet is the one you are expecting. And then you need to implement make reply that will send the reply. The following example is a bit tricky. It's trying to play with a Skype Wi-Fi capability. So what you need to do first is put your interface into monitor mode. That's really simple to do with AirCrack a tool called AirMon. And then you need to implement your answering machine. So as I said before, two things you need to do. You need to define a function isRequest, and this one will check if the packet is a POP request. In Wi-Fi, a POP request is sent, for example, by my iPhone in order to look for access points. So the idea here is like, for example, when my iPhone is scanning for Wi-Fi access points, we'll pretend to be an access point called Skype. So in the reply, what we'll do, we'll use a specific radio tap header in order to send this packet to the Wi-Fi card. Then we'll build the 802.11 packet, and let's say the only interesting information is here. We'll say, okay, there is a fake SSID called Skype, and every time my phone will try to list access points, Skype will reply with this fake one. And if you launch everything, at the end, what do you have? You have here, for example, as a screenshot for my phone, you have a fake access point called Skype. So it's really nice if you want to fake packets, fake replies, do some kind of man-in-the-middle attack. It's really convenient, like in one small Python script, you can do everything you need. IPv6, so Skype has IPv6 support since 10 years, I guess. So this one is a bit tricky. So with IPv6, there is many things you can do to discover hosts on a network, and there is one message called router solicitation. So on IPv6, you don't have DHCP, you have something called router advertisement, router solicitation, and if a laptop, any computer sends a router solicitation, the router on the link will send back a router advertisement message. So by sending this router solicitation, I'm able to discover IPv6 routers on the link. So SR1, IPv6, and then this specific message which is called router solicitation. And what I can get, like nice information on the slides, we got the prefix of my network back home, we got the MAC address of my router, and so on. It's again convenient to discover things on the network. What you can do also is probe local nodes. So there's a little bug on this on the screen. So FFO2::1, that's a specific address. It's like the broadcast address, broadcast address in IPv4, 2555.2555.2555, and so on. So if I'm pinging this address, all nodes on the link will reply. So what I will do here, I will send the packet to the network, and then I will make a table, and the goal of the table is to get the MAC addresses from the IPv6 address. So for example, here we can see that Skype managed to find 3 hosts on my network, and then extract the MAC address. Oops. Nope, don't want to do that. So there's a little bug here, because in the make table call, I'm calling inet6 address to vendor, and this one is supposed to take the MAC address and display the vendor, for example, Apple, Dell, and so on. But there was a bug in the plane today, so I couldn't do it. Okay. So one of the last topics I will discuss today is certificate manipulation. This one is really nice. It gives you a really cool API in order to explore certificates. So Skype can easily parse the certificates and show you their content. So what you need to do is a bit specific here. That's load layer TLS. It's not enabled by default yet because it tends to make sniffing slower. So you need to activate it. And when you have the load layer TLS, you can, for example, parse a certificate with this line. So what I did first, I downloaded the GitHub certificate on my laptop, and then you can just call this line in order to read the certificate. So at the end, you have a Skype object which contains the certificate, and if I'm doing cert_GitHub, it will give me a nice representation of the certificate. So not really useful yet. What we can do, we can play with the certificates. So we have the if self-signed function, which tells you that the certificate is self-signed or not. In this case, it's false. So it means that there is someone else signing the certificate. We can display the subject by just using the subject field. And here we can see that obviously that the certificates from GitHub. And we have the remaining days that will compute the number of days until expiration. So the certificate, 2 days ago, it was valid for almost a year. That's, again, really convenient. Much nicer to use than OpenSSL, for example. We also implemented some crypto tricks. For example, what we can do here is load the certificate authorities that signed the GitHub certificate. And we can do this one, certificate GitHub, is issuer, and check the signature. So we'll do some cryptographic verification here. And okay, there's a valid link between the two certificates. What we can also do is that's really nice. If we have a private key, we can change values in the certificates and build a new one. So here we'll change the serial number value. I will put 32 in X. I will load a private key. So far, Scapy is not able to build private key itself, so you need to use another library to do so. And then I will use the private key.resign cert function in order to resign the GitHub certificate. And then I can verify signature again. So it's also really convenient. In few lines, you're able to take a certificate, change something, and sign it again. So that's really nice, for example, if you want to intercept traffic and so on. And last, TLS tricks. So again, that you need to load the TLS layer by using a load layer function. So here, that's a lot of information, but it's not that difficult. What I will do first, I can do a demo. So, oops, load layer. Okay. Then I will sniff. Okay. Then I will look for client hello. So client hello in TLS. So what I'm doing here, I'm trying to find a client hello in the sniff packet. Client hello, that's the message that are first sent, for example, by my laptop to a server in order to negotiate, and there is no such packet, to negotiate crypto parameters. Okay, not really okay. 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 Last try. Ah. Okay, it's not working, but I have the slides. So on the slide, at least back home it was working. So in the client hello list, I have a list of client hello message I managed to sniff. And I will use the show method in order to display the first message. So again, I'm able to explore information from the network, for example, to get the list of ciphers, which are the crypto algorithm sent by my laptop, and so on. So it's kind of nice to be able to do that in Scapy. There's other topics, other things you can do with Scapy. We call them advanced features. For example, you can create state machines. That's really simple. You can use something called pipes in Scapy to do advanced manipulation. For example, forward the packets between two interfaces, modify the packets on the fly when you are forwarding them. And also, Scapy plays nicely with the NFQ Python module, which can be used to perform simple man-in-the-middle attacks. So the idea is to flag packets with IP table, put them in a queue, and use the NFQ Python module to read them from Python, modify them in Python with Scapy, and send them back. Okay, that's it. So do you have questions or anything you want to ask? Let me know. Yeah?
Questions. In buckets, so is the way to anonymize the entries of our customers from big buckets like
yeah. You can, for example, So the question was, we have an IP address in a pickup file or whatever. You want to replace them. So let me check. Replace. Yeah, so something like that. You have a list of packets, for example, from a pickup. You can change the IP source address into something else. So let's try. So here, replace ip.src, and I'm afraid we will need to do it for every one of them. No, okay, that's not a string, sorry. Oops. What is your second question?
My next question is there a way to remove the data and keep all the address of the pickup?
What do you mean?
I can capture traffic
Yeah.
from one point to another. I just want to remove the data. I want to keep all the
Yeah, we can do that, for example, here, the first one. So we have summary, and so this one is not that nice. So show. So we have Ethernet, IP, UDP, and then row. So what I can do is delete the payload, which is payload of UDP, and that's it. And then you can save. But I'm afraid the replace trick did not work, so it's not in place. Yeah, see, 1, 2, 3, 4. But maybe if you want to change everything, you will need to implement some tricks on your own. Yeah. No more questions? Okay, I will get some beer.